Welcome to the Tuckcast with a splash of bourbon, presented by Tuckaseegee Fly Shop and Guide Service. Tuckaseegee Fly Shop and Guide Service has 3 convenient locations to serve you. 3 Depot Street, Bryson City, 530 West Main Street, Silva, and 110 Depot Street, Waynesville, North Carolina. Tuckaseegee Fly Shop and Guide Service is your number 1 stop prior and after your epic fly fishing adventure in Western North Carolina. Tuckaseegee Fly Shop and Guide Service proudly carries industry-leading brands such as Sims, Orvis, Corkers, Sage, Rio, Scientific Anglers, Hatch, Nautilus, Lamson, Fish Pond, Scott Fly Rods, Echo, Umpqua, Hairline, Nature Spirit, Peak, Norvice, plus a large selection of flies and streamers. Check out www.tuckflyshop.com for streamflow information. Book a lesson or guided trip, or even shop for your favorite, newest Tuckaseegee Fly Shop gear. Follow the crew on Facebook at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop, Instagram at Tuck Fly Shop, and on YouTube at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop. Here in our Silva shop today, we have Bobby, the Bearded Wonder Bennett, Dell, Diesel Collins, and I'm your host, Shannon, Big Mess Messer. Good morning, everybody.
No more hat drills. They got stolen. No more hats.
Oh, you're talking about on the readout of all the brands?
Yeah, hat drills are gone.
Did I miss Hatch?
No, you said it.
No, you said it. He said there's no more because they got stolen.
Like, don't come in thinking we got Hatch because it's stolen right now.
Not recently.
I got this dazed
We
and
just haven't
confused look.
replaced them
Oh, but anyway, we're a Hatch dealer. No, we did a video. I had a Hatch.
You did. That's right. We did.
We did have
one.
Hatch reels.
Just like 2 weeks ago.
yet. Okay, so we got it back from the cops.
It's been
one.
back. Where you been? Where you been? Well, we have a special in-studio guest this morning, and it is morning. Good morning, everybody.
It is morning.
Gentlemen.
We're open, and we're all sitting back here doing a podcast. And if a customer comes in, we're going to have to help them.
Yep, we'll get up.
So who's the guest? Finish that up.
Well, here in Silver, we're introducing one of our newer employees. It's been with us here for how many months now?
I think it's
7 and a half.
February.
Seven and a half.
Since
I can't
February.
do math.
Time
Yeah.
flies.
It's not 10 o'clock.
Time flies.
That's
Native
my
of,
excuse today.
native of Haywood County. If you've been into our Waynesville Fly Shop,
Is he
you've
though?
probably seen this gentleman. Name is Juston Pilat.
Use that term loosely.
Juston is joining us here in Silva today. So some of you folks have met Juston there, maybe talked to him on the phone, just like this person calling here wants to talk
And
to him. on
there's the first phone
and
call.
there's the phone call.
And Dell exits the clip.
Is there any odds that it's Waynesville calling?
Could be.
Could be.
Very
All
well
right.
could
Well,
be.
Justin, welcome to the Tuckcast with a splash of bourbon. Glad to have you here this morning. And this is 2 weeks in a row we've done a morning podcast.
We're going to try to do more of these if possible.
It works out great for the after we're closed, honestly.
We'll see if it. Yeah, well, I don't know if it's going to work well through October and part of
Right.
November, but
Right.
there might just be too many people in the
Yeah.
shop.
But this is awesome for after work for sure. And appreciate you folks commenting on the last one that we had there. That information about the DH, everything kicking up, stocking schedules and things like that. A lot of positive feedback on that there as well. We're looking forward to that time, for sure, no doubt about that. But, I'm sure that we're going to dive into some things here with Justin, kind of talk about his background being over there in Haywood, maybe talk about the Waynesville shop a little bit. Not for sure what's on the agenda. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. When we do get to a stream flow report or, fishing report there, got a little bit of information about the Nantahala. Folks need to pay attention to that. Stay tuned for some information on the Nantahala release over there in that lower section, and also stay tuned for the fishing report, because a lot of good things are happening here in this area for sure.
Yeah. Now, the idea of bringing Justin in is he's kind of the first of all the employees. We kind of want to cycle through all the people that are working here, full-time, part-time, guides, all that type stuff. So Justin's the first one that we've been able to make it work. We were going to have Mike on, I don't know, like a month ago, and then something happened and we couldn't do it. Oh, the times got mixed up. The communication of time. And so he showed up an hour later than me and Dell thought. Me and Dell thought he forgot about it. And anyways, so Justin, you're the first one. So number one, don't screw up.
I'll try not to. Can't make any promises.
But no, I figured we'd bring employees in, talk to them about their fishing experience, things they do outside of work, not necessarily fishing. If there's something like that, which Justin's a photographer, and when I say photographer, he's not just somebody that's like, hey, I like taking photos. He actually gets paid to do some photography, so he's a professional photographer by definition.
Easy. Yeah.
So figured we talked to him about that. I think he could probably throw some insight in on you just using an iPhone or an Android phone. Maybe give you some tips or something on how to take some cool pictures when you're on the stream. Things like that.
The best camera out there is the one you have with you.
There you go. See?
Dropping knowledge.
That's like some lasso stuff right there.
Some Ted Lasso.
Your stuff is still displayed at Orchard Coffee, right?
It actually come down yesterday.
Oh,
yeah.
So what was up there?
day late and a dollar short.
I had some Cabell reached out to me back in the spring, I guess, and want to do like a gallery wall. He does like a thing like with featured artists like in the area, and asked me if I'd put some prints up.
Okay.
And so I had some prints of the elk from Catalucci and different stuff, some landscape shots from the area.
Okay. So we saw those Saturday morning. I took our guys up from Texas.
Yeah.
Up there to Cabell's place. So that was on the wall as you come in on the right-hand side then.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, I saw those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you did that.
They gone now.
They gone. So, yeah, some cool shots. So stuff like that, is that something that you have, since it was prints, is that something that you have available or?
Yeah, kind of. I've tried like the whole online store. I had a website for a while, and when I got into this, like I always wanted to sell prints, and that would be like my thing. Like I sell prints, all that stuff, but not many people. Everybody's like, "Oh man, that's a great photo," but when it comes like to forking out money for it, they didn't want to buy it. So I was having to pay for this website and like to put these prints up, to work like with a printer and all that stuff, and it was just too much. But if somebody sees a photo that I've taken and they like, they can reach out to me and we can set it up. Like I have sold prints, but
yeah,
it's kind of like
what happened to the prints that were in the coffee shop? Where are they now? Just at your house?
Yeah, I hung them up at the house.
So why don't you put them up in the shop in Waynesville?
I can do
and put
that.
a price tag on them.
Yeah,
This time, put a price tag.
Put a price tag on them. What you want?
it was like nobody knew that those were mine. It was just. But
Yeah, I did see
Yeah, we need
those.
to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
I
need to
did
get a few
not
of them
know
in the
that.
shop.
I could have told the guys that was one of our employees up there. So, yeah. They look cool. The elk in the fog, like the mist up there that morning, that big old bull.
I'm not very observant. I was in there the other day with Dale to meet a gentleman. I didn't even notice him.
They were right behind the guy we're talking to.
Yeah, I was
He-
talking
he
to that guy. I wasn't looking.
He
at
was
photos.
focused
I
on
was
the
focused
subject.
on the conversation.
He was focused on the conversation.
Full attention,
too.
baby.
literally right behind his head was like a elk head, like this big on the wall, and he didn't see it.
It's
But
a
he
large
did
print.
to it,
It
man.
was a large print.
I had coffee and I was talking to that guy. Nothing. Didn't even notice it. So
Outstanding.
apologize. Sorry.
It's all good.
So what do you like as photographer? What do you like shooting the best? Is it fishing stuff or is it landscape? Is it wildlife? Like what is?
Yeah. So
Is it doing weddings?
No. If you're a client or a future client of mine for weddings, I'm very happy to, capture your day. But I didn't get into photography to shoot weddings. I originally bought a camera. This is about 3 or 4 years ago now. And I was always, like in the park or, out west, always somewhere, fishing. And I was like, man, I'd really like a better camera to take pictures of like the surroundings, my buddies, just capture the moments of everything. So that's how it got started. And but I love like wildlife, the fishing, stuff like that, landscape. Yeah, mainly the outdoor stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I mentioned this. So if most people nowadays have a phone on them when they go fishing. Every now and then somebody's got the old point and shoot, the little like the Bob Gurnants in the world.
Yeah.
That still keep like the little tiny camera. Yeah. That they still have to pop the card out and put it in your computer to get your photos and everything. But most people have a phone. So like what are tips that you could give people? Like, hey, if you got an iPhone, this is a good way to get a shot of a fish or even underwater shots, because a lot of people have cases now where they can drop their phone underwater.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah, I'll say don't do like I do. Like I'll just dip my phone underwater if I want like an underwater shot. But I guess be careful doing that.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. They say they're waterproof, but you never know. So what I like, the big thing to me is just showing, like when you're taking a photo, showing, having like the subject there, just being intentional, like with the photo, maybe.
I like that word, intentional.
Yeah,
Being intentional.
you gotta be intentional about things. And using like these newer iPhones and Android phones the last few years, they have like the different lenses, so you can zoom in, zoom out. You can use that wide angle lens and kind of distort reality and kind of like really get close to like your subject and make.
That way people don't know which stream you're on. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Make a 21-inch rainbow look 30.
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of distort reality, make things bigger than life. And with wildlife, outdoor stuff in general,
Yeah.
that's more like pleasing than just like a standard snapshot of it. And the portrait mode, the portrait mode is a cool feature on cameras or on like your phones and stuff now. But I do say, like, don't just put it in portrait mode, like kind of learn. And it's something, being like in photography and understanding like aperture and all that kind of stuff. But going like I know you can do it on the iPhone. I'm not sure about Android because I've not used one in like 10 years, but you can go in and adjust that f-stop. And what you're looking for is like that good like image separation from the subject.
What's the f-stop?
It's the aperture. It's on a lens, it's how your aperture blades like close and it lets in or lets out light.
Okay.
So like on weddings you see, or like portrait stuff, you'll see like the subject where it's a model, a bride, or whatever it is, and then like the background's blurry.
Mm-hmm.
So they're shooting that camera wide open, like at f1.4, f1.8. Most of your landscape stuff is shot at f11. You want more in focus.
Okay.
So then that's how that works. So on some of these iPhones and stuff, like with the portrait mode, you can do that, but some of it just like looks kind of chunky. It doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
So I like shooting like around like f2.8 on the iPhones. You kind of get that good subject separation, and it's not such a distinct fall off from the in focus to the out of focus.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Can you look at a photo and be like, yeah, they didn't adjust the f-stop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can totally see it that quick. See, man, I don't notice that.
In some cases it's easier than others. Like especially like with portraits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can take like a photo of you right now at like f1.4, and all the fly tying stuff and everything behind you will be out of focus. But if you can put that next to it and shoot it like at f5.6 or another f, and all the stuff behind you being focused, I can tell like the difference.
Yeah. I guess I would see that. I've seen the blurry backgrounds. I didn't realize that's what did that.
Yeah.
It's like a musician, though. I mean, if you play music, you can hear when people miss a note.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, you can.
If you know what you're listening for, know what you're looking for,
Yeah.
you can spot
find
like those things. Yeah.
Huh.
Now, when you're out there on the water, and let's put this in a fishing perspective, and someone wants to get a picture of a fish, for instance, or what are some things that they should do if they have someone with them, and maybe some things they should do if they're by themselves?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is keeping the fish alive. If you're going to do this, like don't sacrifice the fish's, well-being for this. Keep the fish in the net, keep it wet. If you have somebody with you, like what I do is when I'm with clients or with my buddies, I'll say, hey, let me get the camera ready, whether it's like my big camera or it's the phone, let me get everything ready. And then I'll say go, and then you can like pick the fish up and do like the whole grip and grin shot, or if we want to do like a shot like kind of on the surface of the water.
Yeah.
Like if I want to do a split level shot like with one of my underwater houses, we can just do different things. But the biggest thing is I try to wait, get the shot, and get the fish back in the water, back in the net, released, whatever, just as quick as we can.
Yeah. So when you're by yourself, do you just do net shots like, hey, here's a fish in the net, or maybe just a release in your hand?
Yeah.
Shot.
Most of the time I'll do that. If I have like a tripod or something like that, you can set up like a timer type thing and kind of count it down and just like kind of pick up then drop.
Yeah.
But most of the time if I'm by myself, I'll just, here you go.
Good reason to go fish with a buddy. There you go.
Yeah. Which I'm really weird. I don't want to run on, but I'm really weird about that anyways. Like I fell a few years ago fishing by myself, and I almost got hurt really bad.
Yeah.
And well, I could have gotten hurt like a lot worse than I did.
Was it one of those where you fell and you were like, oh God, I can't get up for a little
Yeah.
bit. I got to lay here.
You know, help. And I'm like 4 miles like back in nowhere, and it took me a minute. And then I got out there, I was fine, but. And so now, especially if I do like any kind of backcountry stuff, like if I'm up in the park or somewhere, I don't go by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like the Garmin, like the inReaches, all that stuff now. But I don't. And
Speaking of that, this is totally off topic talking about. Did you see the new iPhone's going to have the GPS like satellite where you can get emergency signal and send a text? That's kind of cool, actually.
So is that like the 14?
yeah,
Yeah,
The new
the 14 and the 14 Plus or whatever they're called.
I'm still on that 11 Pro Max, and I don't know if they have one that
I actually
will be similar because I got the Pro Max for the photography aspect of
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this camera is supposed to be better. Every time
Yeah.
a phone comes
They
out,
have
the
like a
camera's better.
14, like it's gonna be just like the 13s and the 12. They have like the Pro Max, the Mini. You know,
Yeah. But that GPS thing, that's awesome that they've finally done that, because that is a huge safety thing for folks.
Get a new season of Lasso.
We can't. It's right. We
We
can't.
can't get lasso.
But not only from this standpoint, but let's say that someone has their phone and they have Alzheimer's or dementia and they wander off, but the phone's there.
Yeah.
yeah.
A child. I mean, people. That is.
Which I mean, I know on iPhones you can share your location now. You know,
You
with
can,
like family,
yeah.
like a
But being
family
able to
type
hook
thing.
to the satellite's the
Yeah.
key, because if
Key.
you don't have a signal, but you can
Yeah.
get a satellite and
That's
it's
awesome.
an emergency situation, that's
Cool.
pretty cool that's going to happen. And I don't know, all of us are Apple users, so when it comes to Androids, they may have had it for 5 years because sometimes they're way ahead of Apple on stuff, but
they glitch.
they glitch. There you
Or they're-
go,
they're
or
buggy.
whatever. So I think that's cool. I'm excited. I'll probably wait until my phone completely dies, but
Yeah,
I'm excited to at least have that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's cool.
that's like I know. Like that's part of the reason like why I got like the Garmin, like the watch and the inReach and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like on my watch, I can set. This is the Instinct, and I can go and set. It's called Backtrack or Track
Okay.
Back, something like that. And it'll track like my day and like how long I walk, you know, miles,
Yeah.
altitude, all that kind of stuff. But I also have it set up through the Garmin app on my phone that whenever I start that, like it drops a pin to I have like emergency contacts set,
Yeah.
and it'll email my long and lat to those emails.
Okay.
So somebody, like I have one set like to my mom, you know, and to different people to where, you know, I always tell everybody where I'm going, but
Yeah,
this will
it's-
drop it like straight to them.
It gets a better idea of,
That's amazing.
so
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
That is-
cool.
That is great. So when you're out there carrying some of your camera gear, let's say that you've taken a big camera per se versus a pocket phone, a camera
Yeah.
phone. How? I think this is important because of the environment being wet. How are you carrying this?
So I like to tell everybody like I flirt with disaster like every time I go, but
Okay.
it's just because like cameras, electronics, and water don't mix.
Right.
With that being said, that's the reason I've invested like in the Fish Pond Thunderhead like system. I have the Yeti Panga backpack. I've invested just in waterproof bags and packs like across the board, which it's hard because like my favorite, you know, one of my favorite packs of all time is that Fish Pond Firehole, and I just
Yeah.
love like what you can do with that pack. And I've done like the roll top dry bags and put down in there, but I don't know. I just like having everything
yeah.
waterproofed. So that's kind of what I do. And then I'll only keep it out like if I'm kind of stationary or just kind of moving around. But if I'm about to like scale like a waterfall or scale like or goes through, it goes in the bag.
So what's the biggest disaster you've had since you flirt with disaster?
Well, there was one time. It was talking about so waterproof bags. You know, they keep water out, but they will also keep water in. And me and my buddy, we were going kayak fishing on Lake Junaluska a couple years ago, and I had like my camera and a lens and stuff in there, and I had a water bottle in there. You know, no big deal. It was like a screw lid water bottle and had like a little pop top on it. Well, the little pop top wasn't sealed.
Oh no.
And I was like, man, is the green color like Fish Pond Thunderhead backpack?
Yucca.
Yeah, yucca.
Yucca.
There. And I was like, man, this is like different colors. Like, did I sit this down? And it was dry. And then my heart, like I knew exactly. And I look, and the camera and the lens is just like floating like this, like in the bag. And I was like, that was a $2,500 mistake.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
Get insurance on your gear. I learned that the hard way.
Daggone.
Insure your gear.
I should have insured my little mic. Shannon dropped it in the stream last week.
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
You told me to tap the mic, and I
He
tapped
did,
it.
and that thing went bloop, right into the river.
Blink, right into the blink. Blink. But you know what? It worked.
It still works.
It worked.
It still
works.
works. At least as of now. Knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead. What were you going to say?
That's probably like my worst. I've had some like little scares, and things like
Yeah.
that, like fall in.
Is it one of those things where like you turn around and you realize, oh my God, I left the zipper open and nothing got in it. Thank goodness.
I did that in the shop yesterday. We're sitting here having a
No.
serious conversation.
No. No. No.
We had a serious conversation yesterday afternoon in the shop. And I go back there to use the bathroom, and I'm like, SOB. I was standing there talking to them guys. They didn't tell me my fly was open.
Dude, I don't even be looking.
Usually look
I don't be
down there when
looking.
I'm talking to
Yeah,
somebody.
man, it was wide open.
Yeah, it's probably been you
I think that would have made that more awkward. Like, eyes up here, buddy.
All right, yeah.
I think all of us wear these untucked shirts, so you're
Yeah, somewhat.
you're covered. Like
Hopefully.
I'm not
Maybe.
going around like
Safety.
doing
Safety.
checks. Walking down the sidewalk.
We've
Check,
all done it.
check,
We've all done it.
check. No. Yeah.
So let's shift gears and talk more about your fishing.
Yeah.
We talked about the photography. Now we'll
Yeah.
talk more about fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an idea of places you fished, not just in and around here. I mean, you can mention some of that. I know you've been out west and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've I fished NC, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia. Maybe like the Florida, like maybe in the Alabama. I'm not really sure like where I was, like off the coast, but
Yeah.
Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, South Dakota, different places.
Where'd you fish in South Dakota? What'd you do there? Can't tell.
I'll tell you, Rapid Creek.
Rapid Creek. What?
Dang.
Like is that over
There
towards
it
the?
is, folks.
Yeah.
Is that the western side? I assume.
Yeah. It's off
People just left Sioux Falls, and they're on our way to slash tires right now.
come on. It's all right. Yeah.
I was just excited I could name a city in South Dakota.
Made me proud. Yeah, so Rapid Creek was a really a friend of mine, Tyler Cornett. He was out there like a few months before that, and he told me about it. I was like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, man, when you're going out of South Dakota into Montana, he's like, make sure you check out Rapid Creek. I was like, cool. Dry fly like dumb dry fly fishing, like little 7-9 inch brown trout, like all day. I was like, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah. What's the landscape like there? Like, is it
It's
tree? Like, is there trees or is it
yeah.
more open?
No, it's more it's like trees, like rolling hill. I won't say mountains.
Yeah.
The only mount out there is Rushmore.
Yeah.
So I'm really, but
It's a house all night.
yeah, but it's kind of like that rolling hill, like that high desert
Yeah.
type stuff. So there's trees and stuff like that. But
Okay.
it was a cool little fishery. It was a
Yeah.
neat find. Yeah.
What's the favorite spot you fished so far out of all those states and
Yeah.
places you've been?
Saltwater, I'd have to say it was like in the Gulf in Florida. In 2015, a buddy, Caleb Simmons, and we went. My wife and I and him and his wife, the four of us went down, and we went out with David Mangum, the guy who like Yeti done the tarpon documentary on, been like on all these tarpon. We didn't know who the guy was,
Yeah.
He just calls like, "Hey man, my name's David. You want to go fishing tomorrow?" Yeah, it was. But we're catching like 35 and 40 pound jack crevalles on the fly, which
yeah.
first time I ever saw backing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So saltwater is definitely there. Wyoming is probably, I love the state of Wyoming. I would, everybody's like, I love Montana. There's a couple places in Wyoming, like in that Du Bois, Pinedale, just like that kind of area right there. Some creeks and lakes and stuff right there that are just out of this world.
Heck yeah, man. That's fan. What do you like here? Without giving away your honey holes.
Yeah, the
Secret
Smokies.
spots.
I'll walk 5 miles for a 5-inch brook trout any day of the week.
Yeah, I think all of us are in that kind of.
Yeah.
kill ourselves to get there.
Yeah.
And then on the way out, you're like, why did I do this?
Oh, well,
You're like climbing back
it's
out.
like my buddy and I, we were in a place the other day, and y'all know where I was, but
Yeah.
it said we did like 3.5 miles, but we climbed like 88 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
And I'm not the smallest human being in the world. I was gassed coming out of there. I was like a baby calf. Like my legs were shaking.
I've been there. I've been there.
Beat.
Dale's seen it.
Yeah.
Feeling good. So, what do you recommend for? And we've talked about this before, but I think it's good to get different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
What's your recommendations for people that are going wild trout fishing versus DH fishing, that type of aspect? Like, what should they expect when they get here? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, yeah. So I think, everybody's like, well, I want to catch fish. And a lot of it, I always tell them, like, don't expect, like, 20-inch fish all the time, but expect, like, some of the prettiest fish, like, you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
I think fishing in the park, especially, like, the spring through the fall, is, like, some of the best fishing, in the area. And the fish are aggressive. The colors on them are 100 times better than anything else.
Yeah.
Stocked or anything like that. And so just expect to like get away, and just enjoy that time away, and just like enjoy like where you're at and what you're doing, your surroundings, I guess.
What's your favorite DH creek? If you had to pick one. I mean, those are all, so it's not like you're giving anything away, right?
Yeah. Fires Creek.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Probably Fires Creek. Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just really like how
You just
that
like the
water.
way it looks?
Yeah. I will say the last time, like I have a love-hate relationship with that creek now, because last time I went over there, like my car blew up. I was driving at the time. Like,
Tell us this story.
Yeah.
This is a story.
I had a Subaru Outback XT, so it had the WRX drive. It was turboed, all the fun, young 20-year-old guy like stuff. It was a colder morning, and I was meeting a buddy from Georgia over there, and the car was like running weird. I was like, yeah, it's just cold. It'll be okay. And I was coming through like Silva. I'm like, man, something's not right.
And you just kept going.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, like this. I'm like, well, I know they say like these turbo cars, they can be temperamental in the cold. And
How many miles was on this thing?
130,000.
Okay.
Oh man, it was pretty well kept, and that's why I got it, because it didn't look like it'd been just like drove like really hard or miskept. But I started going up the gorge, going over like into Andrews and all that, and everything was fine. Like I meet my buddy, I think it's like the Walmart or the Ingles right there in Murphy or in Andrews. I don't remember what the place was. I turned the car off and I turned it back on.
It would not be Andrews.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm not good with
that. No Walmart in Andrews.
Okay, it was some kind of store. I don't know.
Not much there.
Yeah, and then I get back in, and the car's just like, oh no. I was like, my buddy's like, you're coming. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go. we go over there and fish. We get back. We get done, and I'm like thinking to myself, something's not right. The more I drove it, the worse it got.
You were just like, get me back to Haywood County, please, baby.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I burned a half a tank of gas from Fires Creek to my house on Delwood. I'm like, yep, she's done. So what had happened? The car had jumped time, and it was a straight drive. Every time I'd push the clutch in, like it would jump and it would die, and then I'd pop the clutch back and it turned back on.
Oh my gosh.
It had jumped like 7 teeth out of time, like bent a valve, did all this stuff.
Heavens.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
That's NASCAR worthy.
I had it in second gear, floored, coming up the backside of Balsam. I'm like, go or blow, baby. Here we go.
Well, that's good. Hey, at least you made it home.
Yeah.
Go to blow. Yeah.
I'm not gonna quit while I'm still ahead. If I can get there, I'm going to. And if
Yeah.
it dies, it dies.
We've all been there. I've had that happen. Dale was with me when it happened.
Oh man,
The old 4Runner. I bought this. I think it was a '92 4Runner. Man, it was
like Gen 1.
It was excellent shape. Like
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't even a scratch on the exterior. The interior was super clean. It had 92,000 miles on it. I think I bought this in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this car's 20 years old and only has 92,000 miles on it, and looks pristine. It was from the original owner was from California, so no rust.
Yeah.
You know, you get cars from out there, you don't have to worry about rust and stuff. And so after I bought it, I saw a little leak under it, and I took it to the mechanic. And this was like a couple days after I bought it because I was like, oh, that's good. Took it to the mechanic, and he's like, I really can't find anything. He said, but that is coolant. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought it was. And he's like, I can't find a leak in a hose, anything. He's like, it could be your head gasket, but I'm not 100% sure. And I was like, okay, well, it's running great. Like, whatever. So I don't remember. I probably drove it for a few months there around Raleigh. This is before we owned the shop. So I came up here to see Dale, me and my wife, and we drove it up here. Did fine. Oh, no, actually, no, it didn't do fine. I forgot. On the way up, coming up to Black Mountain,
Oh boy.
I had to stop in Black Mountain at the Shell station because the temperature spiked. And I was
Oh
like,
boy.
this son of a gun, it probably is the head gasket.
Yep.
Let it cool off. It was fine. Drove it all the way to Dale's house here.
Flip the heater on.
From Black Mountain. And I did flip the heater on.
Yeah. Little tricks.
And made it here. It was fine. And I was like, okay, maybe just, maybe the thermostat or something stuck, like it was fine after that. So I can't remember if it was that same day or if it was the next day. We were like, let's go fishing. We were going to go to Nolan Creek. And we were like, let's just take the 4Runner, throw the crap in here. And it was me and you. I feel like there was a third person with us. Was Philip with us? That was. I know we took him to Big Snowbird, but I feel like somebody was with us.
I think it was just us, man.
But anyways, we're going up
Philip.
the mountain to Nolan Creek because it's uphill once you get through Bryson City. It's completely uphill to get there. And about halfway up it, I was like, uh-oh, this thing's doing it, Dale. It's not going to make it. So we turned around, and basically I coasted into Bryson City, like never even hit the gas, like we're cutting it off, just leaving it in neutral. And we get into Bryson City.
Georgia Overdrive.
And I'm like, Dale, where can I take this thing? I think he was Googling, and we took it to one of the shops there and left it and had somebody pick us up.
We took it down there to
Mark's, yeah. And, it was like on a Saturday or whatever, so he wasn't open. We just left it in the lot. And called him the next week. And he's like, I don't really work on Toyotas. Can't really do much for you.
It was a day of the week that ended in days. So I don't work on those on that day.
So luckily I had AAA. So I had AAA tow it from there to the guy up here behind, where the Mexican store is. The El Patron.
Mercadito.
Yeah, there's a guy that works on Toyotas there. And he's the one that confirmed the head gasket. And told me it was going to be almost $4,000 to fix. And I'm like, dude, I only paid $2,000 for this thing.
$4K for a head gasket?
So,
No.
do you think he was just like, let me tell you this so I can maybe buy this from you real cheap?
He bought it from me. I sold it to him. So I think I sold it to him for $600. So I lost $1,400. I mean, I drove that thing for like 6 months. So
You can buy a whole new crate motor for those things for like $3,500.
yeah.
Depending on what it was.
Yeah, but then to put it in labor, and you're still looking at $4,000.
But it's a whole new motor.
So this brings up a whole other topic here. What is a situation that we've all been in where it's like, oh crap, this really sucks, but I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and fish anyway.
That's right.
Let us know.
That's right.
So for me, I got to think about this a minute. I feel like maybe she was mad at me for something.
Oh, your wife?
Yeah.
And you were just like, oh crap, I'm going fishing.
Like, I mean, yeah, you're here. Like, you can't let it, you've driven up here. What are you going to do?
Can't let it rain on your parade.
That's
Just
it,
go
like-
fishing. You're here now.
And I'm sure I've had some car trouble somewhere in there. But it's like, all right, I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to have it. And you're on the water and you're like, man, that's real. That's a problem. I don't know. Have y'all ever had those moments? What was the
Oh
situation?
man, I'm trying to think if I've had something where it's like, I'm just going to keep going fishing.
I honestly can't. I can't say. As a little boy, one time when we was in Kansas, me and Dad were going to fish one of the lakes out there south of Topeka, and I think something happened to the alternator or something,
Yeah.
and somehow we got to the lake. Obviously, as a boy, he didn't really. But
Yeah,
Dad
you were
had,
like, whatever.
Dad had to go back and fix. We had a contact, and I stayed and fished. He had to go back and do that. But that's about the only thing that pops into my mind right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had. Obviously, Justin has Fire Creek.
Oh,
here we go.
everybody's
got one.
Wait
He
a
just
minute.
thought it. He just
Oh,
thought it.
got a hot one here. So me and my father-in-law, we was up in Canada. We drove up to Canada up there to do some hunting and fishing and stuff. And apparently, before we went, Bode got replaced a drive shaft in his F-150.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be a good one.
And And I didn't know it was a custom-made drive shaft for whatever reason. Either they couldn't get one or something. But this has been 2004 or 5, somewhere in there. So we're up there for nearly 2 weeks, and you've got all those gravel roads and stuff. And so apparently somewhere in through there, a weight on the drive shaft came off.
Oh, yeah.
We did not know that. So when it was time to start heading home,
You got up to speed.
It's like, oh,
What's
crud,
that
what's
vibration?
happening? So we limped all the way from Canada back to Silva. I mean, typically from Silva to International Falls is about 23-hour trip plus another whatever hours is in Canada.
That's North Dakota or Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah,
there we go.
Minnesota.
We got snow on
And
the
so
roof.
it took quite a bit longer to get back.
Yeah.
And so got back, started taking it apart, thinking, man, was it the gears, whatever, tore everything apart? It was a weight on the drive. It was
That simple thing.
Simple thing, but we didn't.
Just a
We'd
little
stop,
out of
get out,
balance.
what's going on? Everything's tight. You're checking UV joints, all that stuff, and you're like, okay, what? Yeah, that one right there is, yeah.
I've got 2, and they're not like, oh, I'm in a bad situation. Let's just keep fishing. It's more of this won't turn into a bad situation. Let's just keep fishing. And so this one, it was with my old boss out of Raleigh. We went to Boone to fish, and there was forecast for a chance of snow. And we were like, whatever, it's just a little bit of snow. So the business I was in before we were landscapers, we had contracts with banks where we had to push snow in Raleigh. And but we were like, yeah, it doesn't look like Raleigh's going to get much. But Boone, I think it was calling for like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And it's like, that's nothing. Not a big deal, right?
It's a
So-
frosty morning.
Yeah, it's frosty morning in Boone. Boone gets a lot of snow. They get those little like Western Clipper type things. So we're up there with fishing. I think we fished the Watauga, if I remember right there near Valley Crucis is where we were. And starts snowing. And we're like, oh, whatever. Just keep fishing. It's good. It's fun fishing the snow, right? It's pretty. You're already geared up, so it's not that big a deal. We're fishing, and then like you're not paying attention because you're fishing. And then you start to notice like, man, it's like 3 inches of snow on that rock. That's more than an inch. So I looked at Andrew and I was like, you think we should start heading back? And he's like, yeah, probably should. Because, it was probably like, I don't know, 2 o'clock. And it was a drive up, drive back, same day, like fish. So it wasn't staying over the night or anything. So we start driving back. And we get up on, is it 321? I think it's 321 that runs up through there. There's 421 and 321, but I think it was 321.
197.
And dude, it's gridlocked, like just standstill. And we're like, oh crap. So we're sitting on it, and it's moving little by little by little. We're moving, and we're in his work truck. He's got a toolbox on the back. So on the toolbox, you can see like the snow's growing.
Yeah. Keeps getting deeper.
Yeah. So we finally get out of that, and we kind of get going. And 421's how you come out of Boone, going back towards like Winston-Salem area and stuff. And they closed down the mountain, like the pass going down or coming up, because there were 6 tractor trailers sideways.
Oh.
So now we're having to take back roads, which obviously have no plows on them yet. And we're going through it. It turns into almost a foot of snow. And luckily he had a big diesel 4-wheel drive truck. Like we were getting through it. But we get to another gridlock situation, and we sit there for like an hour on a 2-lane road, just backed up. And I'm like, I finally told Andrew, I said, I'm going to go up here and see what's happening. So I hopped out, walked up, probably walked like, I don't know, 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile. And there's a UPS truck sideways with a FedEx truck coming the other way, and the FedEx driver's trying to help the UPS driver.
Oh, my.
So like a bunch of people that had come up to see what happened, we all pushed this UPS truck and got him straightened out to clear the road. So anyways, we start driving back, and I'm actually talking to our buddy Juston, who lived in Greensboro at the time, like, man, what's it look like there? Because me and Andrew are like, we got to get back and plow banks. Like, if there's a foot here, there's going to be snow in Raleigh. So all the way down 421, once we got on 40, man, it is snow, like inches of snow. And we're like, son of a gun. Coming through Greensboro, it's the first time I've ever seen it. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's the first time I've ever seen them plow an entire interstate at once. Like, there was like 7 plows,
Right.
and they're just all together plowing the road. We get past Greensboro, not a flake of snow on the ground. With nothing. But the whole time, we're fishing through that and trying to drive home. So, yeah, that was fun. So sometimes you can push it to the limit. You don't know you're about to get yourself in a bad situation, but you do.
But I mean, I'm thinking like, and I think this is what the situation was. You get the text from your wife, dog just pooped all over the house.
Roomba's out.
And you're like,
I'll see you tomorrow.
no cell service. Didn't see it. and you're just like, I'm here. I got a fish. And then you're just like, oh, that's a nice fish. And then it pops up. Oh, a dog shit in the house. Like, oh man. So yeah, I mean, it's like, and then, hey, honey, how you doing? And you're like, oh my goodness, are you serious? I mean, I just wonder what everybody else has.
Oh, I'm sure there's some great
What about you? You got any of those? I mean, obviously you drove your car.
from Fires Creek.
Yeah,
Go or blow.
He started it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've I can't think of. I mean, that was the big one that comes to mind.
The only other one I had was when we went down to the coast in your boat and almost sunk it.
Yeah.
And then we
That was a bad feeling, like that trip. Though.
we like regrouped because it was to that point of like, all right, we can just load this thing up and head back east or back west, or we can go fish. And we were like, let's go try it again. Like we just almost sunk his boat in the Pamlico Sound, and we're like, nah, let's go try it again.
Yeah, we caught some flounder and sharks. It was a good day.
So okay, yeah. So I do remember. There was like 8 or 9 of us. Justin Rose and some of those guys from Appalachian Furrow Leader. They'd come up. Him and EJ and some of their buddies from down there. They'd all come up, and we were going to go fish the Tennessee side of the park. They were staying in Gatlinburg, and there's no cell phone service over there. And this is part of this story, and like the fall story I was telling you about a minute ago is the reason why that I have like all these GPS like trackers on me now. Preface that a little bit. We go in there. I told my wife, my parents, all them like, hey, I'm gonna be gone all day. We're meeting like at 9. We're making a day of it. We're having a good time. Yada yada. Well, we're just having a ball. Catching fish, hanging out, just having a great day. Well, man, it's starting to get dark. Probably should start heading back. Well, then you start just seeing fish rising, just don't. And you're like, okay. We got about 30, 45 more minutes of it. So we just kept fishing and started just catching fish. You could barely see, but you'd see like a little speck of like your dry, then you'd see it disappear, Well, I get back to service. This is like 9:30 at night. I get back to service, and apparently my mom had called like the Rangers and like because nobody like heard from. I told y'all not to expect, until later.
They'd already sent out the search party for you.
Yeah, I can't tell you, I can't remember. And now like it's like a whole. I'm like, Mom, don't expect me back till tomorrow.
Then you show up at 7 o'clock. You're like, hey, I'm back.
I'm early.
Made the window a little larger.
No news is good news theory.
Yeah. And I get back and I have like 7 or 8 voicemails from like different people in the family and friends. They're like, Justin, are you okay? Like, hey, you need to call me. And then my cousin's husband, his name's Grant. Like we fish and hunt and stuff a lot together growing up, and he was like, hey, call me before you call anybody else. I'm gonna help you diffuse this whole situation. I'm like, all right. So I called him like, hey, what's going on? He's like, dude, like everybody is worried, and like basically explain it. I was like, man. And he's like, I get it. He said, and I told him not to worry. He'll be back. He's fine. If something bad had happened, you'd know about it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's that. It turned out great, but turned into a bad situation for everybody else.
Yeah, you didn't know it was a bad situation until you got back to Signal.
I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
We're catching fish. Just having a good day, and the world's falling apart.
Isn't that something? That's such a weird feeling, right?
Snap back to reality. You're like, oh.
It is weird when you come out of the woods from fishing or hunting or anything that you're doing, and any time you don't have signal, and you get back into the world, and you're like, what has happened?
Yeah.
Like, because it's like we're so used to knowing. Yeah, we're so used to knowing everything instantly nowadays. Now you're like, who's died? What's happened in the world news? Who's gone to war? It's
Yeah.
like all that stuff.
You're talking about all this in a half day of fishing?
Yeah, I mean it happens, right?
How'd you think I felt in the military? Across
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the pond. I mean,
And that's when we
that
didn't have.
was,
Yeah.
Yes, that was
It's-
weird.
it's
day
You know,
for
fly
sure.
fishing is such an escape
It is.
from reality that I mean that's why it draws a lot
Right.
of people to it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm sure we're not the only one this has happened to. I would love for people to comment on some
Oh,
things
absolutely.
that's happened to them because those would be some good talking points or some
Absolutely.
things for sure. There.
Well, let's do a fishing report and wrap this bad boy up. Who's doing it today?
Go for
You
it,
had, you had
Justin.
some, didn't you, Shannon? You had a couple things. We can do the round table. If
You
we
can
need
kind
to.
of do the round table there. Did you fish the other day? Or
Been about a week or so ago.
Okay. All right.
Who's going first?
Just a couple of things I think that we need to point out that's happened a little sooner than expected based upon website information on their web page, that being Duke Energy. For you folks that had an opportunity to take advantage of that extremely low flow in the lower Nantahala, congratulations to you and smart move. Unfortunately, the ones that did not have an opportunity to take care of that chance and that window has set sailed, they are back to running for the next 72 hours on the lower
They got that
Nantahala.
prostate fixed. And
They-
the flow is good.
They've got their maintenance is completed. Currently, that lower Nantahala is flowing over 700 cubic feet per second. So if it was your dream to go up there and throw some dry flies up by a bridge or something like that, that ship has sailed for right now.
5 p.m.
But with that being said, for the next 72 hours, watch that window. Plus, this weekend, the 24th and the 25th, they are doing recreational flow release on the upper for paddlers as well. So just be
You go up there and watch some crazy whitewater
go
stuff.
absolutely go do that. That's an
go.
enjoyable thing. Then go fish some of the other areas around these small creeks, and we really emphasize that. You know, your small creeks, streams, a lot of topwater activity. Still your yellow, orange, red terrestrials. And some of your basic subsurface patterns. But for us, most of our activity actually came top water this weekend. They really
Yeah.
would not snooze at a subsurface pattern at all, which is great. I mean, who would not want to come from out of state to fish here and not want to catch a fish on top water, right?
right.
A wild,
best.
wild brookie, a wild, wild rainbow, wild brown. That's what you have to, to keep in mind. One of the better producing flies for Mark and Jarrett on that outing was that that ant that we sell in the shop, parachute ant. It's kind of a orange, but it's like a almost like a
Is it the cinnamon kind of colored one?
cinnamon, but it's the flashy one.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Kind of a little
yeah.
smaller guy right there. It's kind of cinnamon copperish, but it's more like a ice dub body on it.
Yeah.
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 That one right there works really, really well up in the Palmer Creek area of the park. And so just throw that out there to you. Still wet waiting.
Oh, yeah.
We've got great water temps.
I'm gonna wear waders.
You crazy?
That's it. I got cold feet.
Leaves are falling in some places, so you're going to contend with falling leaves, but
Yeah,
it's
they
not bad yet. But they are
I
falling.
got some red at the house. They're starting to turn a little red.
Fish all
Turn it
day.
on the Parkway.
Fish all day.
Yep.
You know, take you some lunch and a water filtration system, and spend a great day
That's right.
Just take some
out
water.
in the. It's a lighter to take a filtration
Shannon's
system.
got his
man.
little straw thing, right? Is
No,
that what you
actually,
still use?
it's a bag, man.
Is it a Sawyer bag?
It's all your bag.
Yeah.
yeah.
That thing's fantastic.
You just lighten the
Yeah.
load so much,
Yep.
so much.
I'm getting
so,
a Sawyer bag
So
now.
much. You lighten the load so
Good
much.
like a million gallons. They're
Mhm.
good.
Yeah. And stocking for the DH once again here in Silva, 10-7, 10-11, Haywood, 10-3, and 10-10 in Swain. That'd be your Tuckaseegees, and, of course, the West Fork of the Pigeons. That'll be next month there as well. So DH. I think DH starts on a Saturday, but they don't start stocking until
Yeah.
Mondays on the 3rd. So
Yeah.
that weekend the DH opens, there's no stocking until the following week, guys.
Yeah.
Great,
Good.
great opportunity to catch some college football. So,
Yep.
Western Carolina has 4 home games
In October?
in October, November.
Yeah.
So, VMI, Citadel, Wofford, and Chattanooga. So, you can fish in the morning and go get you some college football in the afternoon, and that's a fun day.
That's
So
right.
I think that's a cool way to do it.
Yeah, it really is.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love college football.
They're playing pretty salty this year. I mean, they gave Georgia Tech a hard time.
What was the score of that game, man?
I was 35-17 or something like that.
That's-
But
that's a-
they were.
that's a-
it was tied in
I
first
think it was
half.
tied. Yeah.
Western
Okay.
had a
Or
lead
something,
for a
wasn't it?
little bit. So yeah, a few turnovers. I think that could have been a different game. But we hung 77 on Presbyterian. I know it's Presbyterian, but still, putting points on the board is important. So
That means you got to execute.
yeah. Apparently, we played like 8 quarterbacks because I was like, "Dang, coach, you run it up on them." Apparently, we put the kicker in at quarterback.
Five freshman quarterbacks,
Yeah.
and they all threw touchdown passes.
Yeah. So
I guess if you throw a
coach was
touchdown,
trying to
it's a
slow
pass,
it
right?
down. Coach was trying to be like the Federal Reserve up there and
Three
cool it off.
redshirt freshmen and 2 true freshmen threw touchdown passes in that game. Plus
There you go.
the starter.
Smallmouth bite's still on.
Yeah,
So
it's fun.
don't sell the smallmouth out until probably mid-October. We'll watch those water temps and kind of see what happens there. But yeah, there's some magical things happening in our water right now with the daylight and the water temps. So it's a good time to be up here.
For our
There
friend
it is.
Randy.
Sorry,
For-
Randy.
For our friend Randy there.
Well, it's been a good show. Justin, man, thanks for coming and hanging out. We'll get you
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah.
All
looking
that
forward
good
to it.
stuff.
Live studio audience today.
Yeah. Our buddy Georgia Drifter's hanging out over here, eyeballing the donuts.
Hey, man,
So-
get one of those. I can't eat them all.
I already did my part.
Oh, mercy.
Well, good deal, guys. Well, until next show, we appreciate everybody listening.
That wraps up another exciting and informative episode of the Tuckcast with a splash of bourbon, presented by Tuckaseegee Fly Shop and Guide Service, located at 3 Depot Street, Bryson City, North Carolina, and 530 West Main Street, Sylva, North Carolina.
In Waynesville.
Be sure to visit www.tuckflyshop.com for streamflow information, book a guided trip, or even shop for your favorite Tuckaseegee Fly Shop gear. Follow the crew on Facebook at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop, Instagram at Tuck Fly Shop, and on YouTube at Tuckaseegee Fly Shop. If you have a question or comment, feel free to send those to info@tuckflyshop.com or give us a call 1-828-488-3333. For Coach Dale Diesel Collins, Bobby the Bearded Wonder Bennett, I'm Shannon Big Mess Messer. We'll catch you next week. Be sure to catch a few fish out there, won't you? Y'all take care.